Welcome back for episode 26 of Getting Out Podcast. Anthony here, and I've got a friend of mine who I actually met at a four-wheel drive show, but watched his channel a lot. His channel is Nastime Adventures, and I have got the Nas sitting in my studio in my dining room in Chelsea. So welcome, Nas. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. It's absolute pleasure. We've been trying to organise this for a little while, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a difference in time changes.
Yeah.
Well, not time changes, more schedules of our weekends and
yeah.
whatnot. So, yeah, no, thank you. I've looking forward to having this chat, and yeah, it's a bit of a cold winter day out there at the moment, but
Yeah.
you know.
No, but I'm excited. It's nice and comfy in here at least.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the tracks are closed now in high country, so we've got to do something else, don't we?
Yes.
But look, I'm going to start. Might as well start the conversation with some questions,
Yep.
just so people can get you understand better. And yeah, so your favourite dream? What is your dream car?
Dream car. I reckon I've pretty much got it already. It's you know what? Like when I was a little kid, I dreamed of having a car that could take me places. Probably I've always loved the Jeeps. That's probably my ultimate, because that was my first introduction to to camping and four driving, to adventure, as I call it. But yeah, for me now at this stage in my life, I really wanted a ute, and I've gone through the wagons. I know you had a discussion recently about that, and I've gone through the wagons, and I'm all for the tub canopy. It works perfect for me. And not saying the BT50's like my dream car, but if I had one dream car, probably be a Jeep, but I'd still want my tub canopy for my adventures.
Yep.
Jeep would be just nice to run around in. And
The Wrangler with the roof?
Rubicon. Mental blank on it. The Ute.
Gladiator.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I
the
think
Gladiator.
the Patriot, like the Patriot one, in a
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, they look pretty
Gladiator is probably a big part of it as well. Who wouldn't want to be a gladiator? So,
cool. Just like he's Greek.
another childhood. As a child, I had a lot of fantasies. It was probably my escape. In hindsight now, when I kind of think back, I had a lot of my imagination just kind of took me to places where probably didn't want to be, at home and whatever. So, I dreamt of, we lived near the river. I used to go down the Yarra River and just play camping, and never camped till I was in my 20s. But
to be honest, it's about the same. I've actually mentioned the same as well. Like, Dad took me camping when I was 17, but I begged to go, did outdoor camps and stuff when I was younger. And just to give you clarification, explain your car. So just so people know what your dream car is, because
So I've had it for I think we're going on to 3 years now. So the BT50, 23. So heading into 2.5 years. And mate, I decided with this car, I didn't want to cheap out on things. I wanted quality, and I basically wanted to build my dream car. So, I did a lot of research, as I always do. I kind of become a bit obsessive with, once I get my mind kind of stuck on things. And, I found the best canopy. For me, and again, we've talked about on your show and that before, the best products and that sort of stuff, but it all comes down individual. I love my canopy for so many reasons. I love my draw system. It's one of the best on the markets. The BT50, it's a good car. It's a little bit bigger motor than what I had last time, so a little bit more pulling power and stuff.
And they share the motor with the D-Max, don't they?
Yes, yeah.
They're robust.
Probably wouldn't have touched them in the 4 days, but
no.
Now with the D-Max, it's actually been a really good car, and I've just been able to set it up exactly how I wanted it. It's probably the first time, because my last car was probably my first real four-wheel drive, and
a Mitsubishi Challenger.
That was the Challenger.
Yep.
So I had before that, like I had the X-Trail and a couple of other little adventure cars.
The Boxy X-Trail?
The Boxy X-Trail.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
I used to want one of those. It was like people can still travel in them.
Yeah, it was all-wheel drive. Like, it used to take me all the places that I needed to go. Obviously, this one's going to take me a little bit further. But this one's, I've gone overboard decking it out. Like, I've done everything. I didn't, with the Challenger, I kind of built things up, I was a bit challenged financially at the time, so I was building things up slowly, and I was very happy with the car, and I loved the car in the end. But this one, I was just in a better position financially. I had some, contacts that could help me get decent prices on stuff, and Trevor from that's where we met, probably
Yes,
as Trevor at Dirt Road 4x4 when he had the shop down at Werribee, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
Werribee down there. And, he gave me access to a few places like Max Liner. He deals with Max Liner. And for me, I still paid, because I've done a lot of work with Trev, so he just looked after me on price. And I've never charged him for that work. So, he pays me back in other ways, in friendships and, often products. And he's just been really, I was really happy with the canopy. I've now developed a bit of a relationship with, Max Line and myself. Again, with all my gear, I just feel with this car, I was able to do the things that I really wanted to do, not cheap out on it. Not saying got the best gear, and, I'm sure, we could sit and argue about what's good and what isn't. But at the end of the day, from my own research, I was really happy with the gear I got, and I've set it up really well.
You set it up in the way you can just get out when you need to. If you finish work, load up and go.
There.
Do it comfortably in the way you want it.
That's my dream car.
Yeah.
That's, we're talking about, trailers and that before. Like, my car's got everything I need pretty much. Got a couple of tubs there. I can throw them in there, throw the swag in there, and I'm done. I've got my water built in. I've got my power built in. I've got all my camping gear stored in there, fridge and all that. I've got an oven in there. Like, there's nothing that I don't have.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things I probably will add to it. But then, with the trailer, one thing you kind of mentioned earlier about having a trailer and the idea of storing all your camping gear in there. So when I'm going with the car, I can just pick out a couple of things, grab them, and I'm off. When I've got the camper trailer, I know everything's in there and it's ready to go and it's clean and tidy.
And we're going to go down a rabbit hole about camper trailers and whatnot soon. So we had a great discussion, some good. I think our brains sort of work the same way, so it's going to be a fun one. But and I guess you're talking about products and you've set your car up perfectly. Could you say the best and worst products you've? Not say worst products that haven't worked for you that you thought it would, and the best that sort of gone, wow, that's changed how I camp for the positive.
Look, in all honesty, I've only bought products that, like, I do a lot of research on the stuff, and there's good and bad at every level. I've got friends who have spent a lot of money on, let's look at rooftop tents. I've had the King's rooftop tents. It's a $2,000 rooftop tent. I ended up with, I had a couple of those. I went through some issues, but I still rate them. We've got the 23-0 rooftop tent now, which is, I call about the mid-range rooftop tents. And I love the products. I love the brand, I don't have any affiliations with any of the companies that I'm currently working with, but they're the ones I do my videos on because they're the products that I buy, recommend and use.
Yeah. And,
then I've got mates who've got a $9,000, I don't want to mention the brands, but $9,000 rooftop tents, and they've had issues with them. There is no perfect. It really just comes back to you. I would still rate, the King's gear. Like, I started with the King's gear. It's what got me into, forward driving. It makes it accessible.
I think it's got a lot of people into it.
Yeah, it makes it accessible for a lot of people. And that's really what I'm about, my channel is about, is really getting people out there. Yeah. So if it gets you out there. So I've had the King's, gear, the King's drawers, the King's rooftop tents. I can't say I've had worse products, I can't say I've really had nothing sticking in my head as far as bad products.
Yeah.
Good products. Like I said, I love my Max Liner canopy. It's really high quality and, really good support. That's a big one for me. It's not just the product, but the after sales support. 23-0, I actually started the Facebook 23-0 owners group because there were no reviews anywhere.
Yeah.
And I wanted a bit more information. So I started it up. I got quite a bit of feedback and it's always been positive. I would class 23-0 as the best. I don't want to make this sound like an ad, of course, but the best best value for money, and that's largely what I'm kind of looking at. Yeah. I've got the RV drawers in my car, great setup, really high quality units, can't fault them, And, after sales, the people are fantastic. The family's fantastic. It's, Australian owned. You try to get Australian owned when you can, but don't sacrifice it for quality. And,
No.
Sometimes, they can get a little bit greedy with price, I feel. And I've always said you can buy something for double the price, but you're not getting double the value. So,
look, I've worked. If you know where I've worked previously, and they made rooftop tents, and they go, it's X amount of dollars for a rooftop tent, and when you see them get made in-house, folded in-house, made sure quality checked, it's not on a shipping container, I see the value. The additions that are to it to make it more expensive, they're not everything's made in-house. Like Sirocco fans are freaking expensive for what they are, but people pay for it.
Yeah.
The year spent $7,000 on a tent, you're going to spend $200 on a fan. You're not going to go buy a King's fan. Maybe not, but it was rooftop tents for me. It's weight. Like I wouldn't cheap out and buy. I wouldn't say cheap out, but I wouldn't buy a cheap rooftop tent for a lightweight. I'd rather buy, say, maybe the Bush Company's got a lightweight one.
Yeah,
and I think that you're spending a bit more money, but they've probably put more innovation into using more like lighter products, like lighter grade aluminium or something, but not sacrificing quality. But there's always a sacrifice of weight. And price.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to what's important to you. And it's like at the end of the day, like I said, get the best you can afford. And it's if you can afford, look, if I could afford a $9,000 tent, it's not that I can't afford a $9,000 tent, but anyone can afford one. But you're going to make sacrifices. I'd rather have a roof over my head and a nice car and petrol in it. But so it's where you put the value. Like when it comes to winches, for example, I've got the Sabre winch, and I'm doing. Sorry, I will apologise because I don't want to sound like I'm dropping names, but I know Sabre make good quality products. They put a lot of innovation, a lot of work into their products. Saying that, my mate Ed, he's got the King's winch. He's used it twice on me. I've never used my winch. Actually, I have used my winch once now in one of my videos to get myself out. But I do a lot of solo camping. I don't want to take the chance. And again, people have had King's winches on their cars for years and years, but I don't want to take that chance.
Me neither.
I want to know that there's a better chance that it's going to work. There's a better chance that I'm going to be dry in the winter and warmer in the winter. And, so certain products become more important. That's where you kind of put your money in. It's, I struggle to pay. I'm trying to think of those little stove units and, those fold out stoves. And I've got one from Kmart and it does a really good job. Yeah. It was $50. Can I afford 200 on a brand name one? Of course I can, but why?
But why? But like my stove I bought from Anaconda for $70 years ago. But when they actually had decent sales, not saying they're on sale when it's the normal price with the club card. Yeah. But you're right. You can. Some of the stuff I've got is pretty cheap. Some of the stuff I've spent, like I got the sea gear mat I put underneath the tent when the kids are out of the tent. No sand, no dirt goes in the tent. Yes, it's expensive, but I know it works. I've got nothing. My tent's clean inside for where we go to sleep. Stoves, just things that like I can go cheap, but I just maintain it and it works. Yeah. Yeah. And I find people buy these, these jet boil hyper flame tent stoves. But really, I don't know.
It's nice to have it. I'm not saying they're not a better unit. If you kind of drilled into it, I'm sure it's going to perform a little bit better in different environments. But for what I need, what I've got, it's just I can't justify the cost of a $9,000 tent. Like to me, that's a significant amount of money for me at the moment, and I don't need it.
But so, like unless you're traveling Cape York and you're filming it and you're coming back down 6 months trip or something, it's going to be
if your life's in there, then and that for me was like 23.0 was, like I said, the mid range. Yeah, it's in it gives a good balance of quality. They've always been really good at supporting me, and I think that's a big one as well. It's not don't just look at the product, look at after sales support and Look, and I don't have much Darchi, but I had a Darchi, 10. I'm not associated, I'm not affiliated with 23.0, so I can't mention them. They were the best, as far as customer service and that goes,
Oh,
are the
yeah.
best. I personally, if I was going to weigh up 23-0 and Darchi, me and Trev can have an argument about this because Trev knows that, Trev's a Darchi man and I'm a 23-0 man. I find, and just from the reviews and stuff that I've seen online, I tend to think that 23-0 performs a little bit better. Darchi probably got a little bit better customer service. Like they're just really they're a bigger company, a big organisation, I think, or they're supported by, bigger money probably. That's the way I'm seeing it anyway. I could be wrong on that.
I think everyone got a bit of a pineapple over the few years after COVID, sort of bringing cheap. Like, I'm not bagging Darchi. I had the 270 awning Darchi. I like vouching with what's his name? I spoke to Dave 4x4 Brothers, and he saw that I tied that thing down bloody good, and then we had 50 knot winds come through, possibly even 70 knot winds at one point.
Yeah,
smashing caravans and stuff. That awning survived, but I did not like how the arms were pop riveted in, and then the fact that two arms shared one pivot.
Yeah.
I sold it. But when I got the first time I got the awning, it was scratched inside. All the arms were scratched. I called Darchi, sent some photos. I said, hey, is this acceptable? Because I don't think this is right. They got on the phone straight away and said, please, we'll send you a new one out, blah, blah, blah. I happened to be in the area. I dropped it off and swapped it over. No dramas. Even the guys made sure, pulled it all out, made sure it was right, not just throw another box in the car, catch you later. So
yeah.
I vouch their service is fantastic. The products, I think if you want to, the 270 awning rabbit hole is a different thing. Right? For me, I want to make sure it covers the back door of the Prado, and it's actually freestanding when it says it is. Most of them are not. You got to put the legs down, and I don't mind that. But you want a freestanding, you get like a Bush company or something. I'm not affiliated with Bush company, but I've seen their awnings in some
good quality stuff,
treacherous conditions. It's made in South Africa, and I would put that on my car next.
Yeah,
I want to go to the beach, throw it open, throw the kids out, go to the beach or go camping. That's me. But like you said, it depends on your price point. Yeah. If I find one on Marketplace cheap, maybe.
Bonus.
Exactly. And saying that, what's your been your favorite destination or where you want to go? Where's the next one? Where's your dream destination?
Sorry. Okay, my dream destination. Dream destination's probably Alaska. Like that's cool. I have this fantasy. I said very much on. I think my whole life lives on fantasy and escape. Kind of start to think about it. Not that I hate my life. Like there's a lot of aspects of my life that I really do love. But I do also like being alone, and I love the idea of spending 12 months in Alaska, completely remote.
Yeah.
I'd love to find somebody that I could that's already living out there, because I don't think I could survive on my own. And then head out there and spend a year just as a test for myself to kind of get through. 12 months, a harsh winter, the full summer and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's always been kind of my fantasy, a bit of a dream. But around here, around Australia, I love the Oodnadatta track. I'd call myself a bush baby. I dreamt of the bush growing up. The idea of just being surrounded by trees, nothing better. But then the first time I spent, a couple of nights in the desert, mate, something beautiful about nothing.
Yeah. And you did that with a group of people, or
I did first trip I did by myself.
Oh wow! So you've done it a couple of times.
So it's funny, but before like I mentioned Nastime, I started as a means of, it was all about me time. I wanted to kind of promote people. Getting out there and just finding time for themselves.
Yeah.
And so for me, I used to do a lot of trips by myself, basically, a lot more trips by myself. And I've since got involved in the last couple of years, with the 4-Drive Club. I was probably getting to the point where I just wanted to get out, a little bit more adventure. I was a little bit more risky, and I needed some support.
Yeah.
And, just wanted some support and stuff. So for me, I got out there, I met some people, and I've been doing a lot more trips with other people. But, I really like to get out and do my own kind of solo trips again. So
I've never done a solo trip before.
Yeah.
Like by myself. I don't know. My mind's too busy to go by myself, but it's probably going to be the best medicine for it one day. Then, same thing. I'm not set up for it, honestly. I'll not do it without a winch.
Yeah.
I definitely need a winch on mine, and I'll probably look at something like that.
Yeah,
a good quality
even
winch.
something like the desert, like you get out there and, most of the time it's pretty straightforward and easy, nice, easy tracks. But, you get a little bit of rain, mate, you could be there for days.
Yeah, exactly. I was just, it's funny, we're just doing a project up. I'm in the pumping industry and we're doing a project about, they're going to put some pumps in somewhere in Northern Territory, and I just watched that full drive 24/7 when they did the going to Birdsville and nearly got stuck there, and I'm like, said to the customer, how long is it going to take to get access to if you can't see it for 3 days? Like, shivers, the pump, it's like you start thinking, and it's like, oh, probably full drive help me with work, but yeah, you can't be access for 3 days. You need to be set up for 4 days, stranded, really, including sat batteries and whatnot. So. Yeah. Sorry, we went a little tangent there, but no, it's good. And what about I guess high country wise? Would you have a favourite spot? Because I've been just dabbling into the high country a little bit. Do you have a favourite high country spot? This put more tip for me in the audience.
Yeah, look, the high country I did. I wouldn't say I'm experienced in the high country, probably more so over the last few years. For me, big part of it is I tend to not go through a lot of national parks because often I'm camping with my dog, and that's pretty important to me.
Yes.
I kind of got a dog for camping. So,
and you've got to watch for pest control as well with baiting and stuff as well with dogs, don't you? Especially in, like, well, they have to like, tag where they do and don't.
Yeah, and look, I'm a big one. Mate, and it sounds harsh, but if you can't train a dog, don't have kids. It's like, I'm a big one that, especially I've got a border collie. He's very highly strung. He's a little bit like me, a little bit anxious, and I had to really do a lot of work. I spent literally 2 years training him to make sure that he won't touch food without my say-so. He won't wander off. If I see a wild animal, he doesn't chase it because, like it or not, my dog tends to be off lead most of the time when he's with me. And, I've got more control over him off lead than most people do with their dogs on lead. So, and I think that's important if you're heading out to the bush. It's a big one for me. And, because the last thing I want is for it to, be having a go at a wild animal out there, because I love them and hopefully, he does as well.
Yeah.
So that's a big one for me. But high country, like I first time pretty much at Craig's Hut and around that area. Like I did that trip a few weeks ago with a couple of YouTuber mates, and I've not seen a part of the high country that I don't find attractive. It's absolutely gorgeous. I've done a few trips around Dargo and stuff, and all the classics, the Blue Rag Track and all that, and again, it just everywhere you turn. And it changes everywhere as well. Like it's just so, it just opens up the hills, the mountains, the view is different from every,
angle,
every angle up there.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth going to. I want to do Haunted Stream. I tried to get up there with my Challenger, and that was the last time I took that off road, and had some timing belt issues. Sorry to the person that's picked up that car after me, but it's a dealer's issue.
Yep.
But But definitely Haunted Stream. Again, you could spend, I feel like I've seen quite a bit of the high country, but not a lot of it. So, I've been out as far as Bendock. I do a bit of track clearing with Parks Victoria most years, and I really love doing that because you get to see, doing some volunteering with Parks. You get to see some places that you wouldn't otherwise with some experienced people. Around McKillops and all that, it's absolutely gorgeous, that kind of area. And then Orbost, like I said, then you're moving down Dargo and then heading out towards Mansfield. Like I've done a lot of it.
Yeah.
But seriously, like it's going to take a lot longer to cover the rest.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I guess I didn't really speak to your topic off but the recent things about the government wanting to close tracks and all that. Do you have it? I guess it's it'd be good. I think I think I know what they're trying to do, and it's not good. And there's Facebook groups and all these people talking about it. But when you go out and you see rubbish and shit everywhere, and you see anyone doing burnouts, like just trashing the joint, you wonder why they brought it up. And it's not hard, but at the same time, I think there's just got to be better education, people calling each other out sometimes.
Mate,
But
I think it all comes down to money at the end of the day. The government doesn't want to take care of it. They want someone else to do it, or they want to sign someone else. I think it largely comes down to money, and it's all politics. And I don't get too caught up in all the politics. And to be honest, I don't watch a lot of. I watch very little media. Like other than YouTube, I don't think I've watched mainstream media for I haven't watched news for a couple of years at least.
No, as I say, it's what you see online and it's what you can control.
Yeah, what you pick up. So for me, I just think back of my mind, I think a lot of it comes down to it's all politics and money and people just trying to pass the buck and no one wants to take care of it. And I think it's largely up to us. And as much as there's these idiots out there that don't know how to take care of the bush, I think a vast majority of the people out there have a real appreciation for it and a love for it. I'm out there and I'm enjoying it, and I want to leave it in a better condition than when I got there. So, and I usually do. So, including sometimes weeding, and you see something that could contaminate or people's rubbish or whatever. Dig a hole, bury it, or take it with you. Do the right thing, and that's all we can do at the end of the day. I find it hard to believe, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, that at any stage in my life, I'm not going to be able to just head out in the bush and find a place to camp.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be a sad day.
It is.
A lot of sick people.
Yeah, and like someone asked me that question, I said, you can only do what you can control, and the best you can do as control is call someone. If when your mate's been in here, call them out, or you see rubbish, pick it up, or more important, educate. I got 2 kids. Educate them to pick your rubbish up. Yeah, or don't run into that vegetation.
Mate, that's a big one. We love to sit here and complain about all the problems and everything else in the world, but at the end of the day, mate, we're raising kids. We're raising those kids, and the ones that are doing it, and we love to whinge about it, but we still do it.
Yeah.
It's our kids that are doing it, and don't say it's not my kids. It's someone else's kids. It's our kids that are doing it.
It's a whole group.
We all got to take responsible, and if you see it out there, we're in an important position too, as far as educating and setting some kind of standards. Because I tend to get on my channel a lot of people, maybe not the experience so much. But the less experienced people, obviously looking at getting into camping and that sort of stuff, and they're the ones that I want to kind of educate and focus, because the more of them that we can get out doing the right thing, the more chance we've got of holding on to something.
Yeah, it's like we've got a group of mates, and there's about 16 kids, and they, we live better than what we left at, what we turned up, and they know. And it's funny, even it even starts at school, where my son loves picking up. He's a bit environmentally friendly, which is nice, and he goes, Dad, why do they make us pick up rubbish at school? They force us. If we get in trouble, we have to pick up 20 pieces of rubbish. I said, well, the schools are telling you you're in trouble, you have to pick up rubbish. What do you think you could do in your own time?
Yeah.
Like, you should not make a game of it, but it's got to be a better way to educate these next generation how to pick up rubbish than,
We've been doing it our whole lives, haven't we?
Yeah.
Picking up rubbish for misbehaviour. I know I copped plenty of those in primary school and high school. And at the end of the day, it's teaching the kids some responsibility, and we don't do that as much as we used to. We're a lot tougher on our kids. 40, 50 years ago, our parents were a lot tougher on us, and we can sit here and say we turned out fine, but not all of us did.
Well, there's a few little gremlins we can all bring up, but let's just that'd be another show. But
but and at the end of the day, it's for me, it's just doing the best I can. Living an honest life and being the best version of yourself that you possibly can. And that's what I try to motivate people to do.
And saying that is a partial reason why do you go camping?
But exactly. And
why did you create your channel?
So for me, it was largely like I said, as a kid, I fantasized about it. It was my little escape. And when I came of age, and to be honest, it's when I met my second wife, and I was well into my 20s, and when I met her, and saw a couple of old photos. I go, oh, you're into camping? I was like, I've dreamt about it my whole life. I wasn't around the people that camped, and lived in a city. So, like I said, I'd find a little patch of dirt or a park somewhere and hide in the bushes and pretend that I was, Daniel Boone or Tarzan or whoever your dream guy was back then. And then I came of age about the mid-20s, and so that makes about 30 years, I reckon, now I've been camping. And for me, it's an escape. Like my wife, I got 20 years out of her, and had to make it more and more comfortable over the years. And she's now over tents and more appreciates a hotel a lot more. So, reality is though she doesn't get as many holidays as what I do. So I love a weekend away, and it's just to go out and just bring yourself back. Like it's look, mental health, and I don't want to get into a depressing episode here, and it affects everyone. And in the last few years, I think it's just getting worse and worse. And I always say the further you are from nature, the further you are from who you really are. And for me, nature really is about bringing out your true self. I go out there, and I know I've got a lot of mod cons and stuff, but a lot of comforts. But at the end of the day, it just feels like living on the road, living in the bush, living on the dirt. It just feels like you're going back to everything's harder. You're washing your dishes, washing your clothes, washing yourself, whatever. Everything's kind of harder. So it just pushes you out of your comfort zone a bit, enough to you don't have to kind of hang off the edge of cliffs and that sort of stuff. No. I don't anyway. But for me, it just kind of brings me back. It puts my focus on the now rather than all the other problems that we carry with us on a day-to-day basis. And look, I said it's not just the stresses, but there's a lot of great things that are going on in our lives. We've got our beautiful kids and families, and watching them grow up. But day-to-day life, it's stressful, and
it is.
You need a time where you can just get away. I'd argue that having some alone times are quite important as well. But, for people that struggle with that, go out in a group. Go out and find someone that you can go out with. Four-wheel drive clubs, like we've met through this industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of great people to meet. And, I went from camping on my own to now it's just I haven't got time to camp on my own because I've got so many friends and groups. So, it's easy. It's easy to do. Anybody can do it. And camping's something that we can do so cheaply. My first camp setup literally cost me, it was a garage sale. I reckon I spent $20 on all my gear, and I got out there. And now I've built that up, obviously, over the years. I'm spending a lot more money these days, but not as much as you think. You don't need, you don't need the best gear, the best. And I spend probably a little bit more because I'm living in, I'm spending a lot more time out there, and I need gear that's reliable. I'm going a little bit further, a little bit more remote, and I can't afford for mistakes to happen in the kind of places that we go to. So that's what's important to me. I've got no kids now. Makes life a lot easier, camping, although I'd love for my kids to have continued it, but I had two girls, and they're both princesses, and not that princesses don't camp, but mine like showers and comforts at home and beds and, warm places. So,
it's like, yeah, exactly. And like, if I bring a shower tent with the toilet, and everyone goes, why are you bringing a shower tent and toilet? There's a toilet block down there. I said, that's what gets my kids to have, like, that's their novelty. I don't care. Like, sure, it probably leaked on the tent in the trailer on the way home. It was not good. But that was not fun. But at least it was at the back, and I caught it early. But that was not fun. But it's, you said you spent the money. Like people got, when I bought a fridge in 2018, and market wasn't as flooded as it is today.
Yeah.
But I bought an Engel because my mate dad's had an Engel that he's changed the seal on in 30 years. And I'm going to buy the same. And I went a bit special as well because it was at the same height as the rear seats. I didn't want anything popping up or maximise my space in the boot. I had a twin pram. So I bought that, and still runs to this day. It's currently on with stuff in it now. And, you spend good money on things you need. Like you were talking about your winch, your canopy. Like you can buy an ARB canopy, might leak.
My first fridge camping, like we all had the Eskies, and I think back 30 years ago, not a lot of people had fridges.
No.
They were a bit of a luxury back then, whereas now it seems everybody's got one. But I had my Esky, and of course that would only last a day or so. I remember actually digging a big hole in the ground. It was just a tip. I used to watch a lot of survival shows and that sort of stuff.
Douglas?
I cannot remember where I saw it, but basically dug a big hole in the ground because I was going to be there for about a week. Dug a big hole in the ground, put a bit of wood over the top of it, and put garbage bags in there with ice in it. So basically one garbage bag with ice, and then you put your food in another one and put that inside because you're going to obviously get some melting. Yeah. That lasted for 4 or 5 days.
Beautiful.
And it's like, there's ways. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And sometimes those things just, that's a great memory, to be able to do that. Throw your matches away, try to light a fire with some flints. It's just pushing your
that's
limits.
My next one.
Pushing your limits, and just to know that you can do it. Mate, the way the world's going, who knows? We could be living out there at some point, living out in the bush, or living on the streets. If power goes out tomorrow, mate, I can tell you now, a lot of people are going to struggle.
Oh, 100%.
And that's the reality. So to be able to do those basic things, I think it's really important with kids as well.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got that opportunity to teach my kids. I know you're a big one with your kids, out camping and stuff. Because for me, it's just teaching them life skills, basic, It's like, they're sitting at home now going on board, and it's like you're surrounded by stuff. You go out bush and it's like, mate, there's a million things to play with. There's a million things to do. There's a million things to see.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I taught them to make a fire. Okay, yeah, we use the burner things, but they know to stand away from it when it's up. They know when they see the char, they know what's to look out for. And, if you put them in somewhere else in the episode, somewhere in the fire, they're like, don't get away from the fire. They'd be like, no, we know.
Educate them.
We know. And it's like, but everyone's like, oh, you can't expose them too early. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You take your kids swimming from 6 months onwards. So when they go to the beach with their mates, they're probably going to save your other mates who don't know how to swim.
Yeah.
So when they go camping, someone doesn't know how to make a fire, they're going to probably start a fire and keep warm. Yeah.
They've learned some basic survival skills, and they can take it as far as they want. But and again, it's technology's come a long way. We've become a very different humanity, but mate, I still believe we're primitive in nature.
Oh, we are.
And so if people say the Neanderthals died out, I just go look at all the footy players. Like, sorry.
Oh, look, it's people go, oh, camping, you're just going out spending $400 a night to be poor. It's like, good on you, mate. But in the end of the day, you come home, you're better with your partner, you're better with your kids.
Yeah,
you're better at your job. You have a different perspective on life sometimes. Sometimes it may even bring up some more things in the head and go, shit, I have a lot in my head.
Yeah.
But, maybe those things that came up the surface quicker than what it should have.
Yeah. And you made a point then, we spend a fortune to go live like a homeless person, basically. No offense to homeless people, but I probably camp better than a lot of homeless people, to be honest. And with the gear and the protection that I have, I got a good, comfortable shelter over my head. At the end of the day, though, and I think it's interesting and worth talking about. When I think of myself 30 years ago, I'm just scraping it together with whatever I could find, and I get in there. The tent offline, tent off a garage sale, hand-me-downs, whatever you can get, basically, and, some kitchen pots out of the, you see your pots out of the kitchen and that sort of stuff, whereas now I have all dedicated gear.
Same.
But, and then you go through a stage where you just, you get a little bit more comfortable, a different stage in your life, and you're like, okay, I can start spending a lot more stuff, buying a lot more gear. And then I'm getting to the point now where I want quality gear. But it's not about how much, it's about how little, because you start to realize a lot of things, weight and all that becomes important. I don't want to spend half my day setting up my site. I reckon 10, 15 years ago, I had the flash canopy, the flash this, the flash that. I've set up 3 tents. It's like I don't need half this stuff. So if I can have it set up and fixed in my car, You know, like if I could have a stove that pops out of my car, I don't, but I've got a nice kitchen bench and an easy access stove, and I can set up. You know, it's about getting in there and doing it as quickly and as comfortably and as easily as you can. You know, you don't have to have all the gear. I actually did a video a few weeks ago when I did my Australia Day trip up at Craig's Hut, and we saw about 8 huts basically. Good little video. And a video that came out of that was everyone's setup. They're all basically the same. All four-wheel drivers. They're living out of the back of their cars. Get a swag. You know, everybody had awnings. No one set the awnings up. You know, like we have to have all this gear. Look, it's great to have an awning, and there's times where you need an awning. If you're going to be set up for a few days, yes, set it up. If it's, you know, the weather's coming over you, you know, set it up, that sort of stuff. But it was great weather. We didn't need it. So it's not about all the gear. You don't have the table for... Like, I don't carry a table most of the time I go camping.
You got the ute table.
Yeah.
What's that? The tail of the ute.
Yeah. So, you know, you always find ways, and it's like the less you can take with you, I promise you, the more that you're going to enjoy it. You want a reliable shelter. You want to make sure you got water, food, water, you know, and shelter. That's basically all you need to make it a comfortable trip. Everything else is either going to take you too long to set it all up. And, you know, when I went camping with the kids and the wife, like it literally took me half a day to set it up, set everything up. And that was, you know, like I went from a caravan to trailer, setting up annexes, and, you know, the kids had their own beds, and, you know, I had lounges and I had everything, you know, like it was super, super comfortable. And if that's what you want, great, get them out there. But reality is you'll end up at the point like I have, where it's like less is more.
Well, I'm at that. I've been at that point for a while, but like, you know, you saw the trailer. I got a big tent. I got all the mattresses and stuff, and you know, at a point of life when I'm ready, I want to buy. I was looking at one of those, like a Jayco expander, where the bed expands, but it's got bunks. But I can store my stuff in there. Yeah. But the bed expands out. All you have to do is pop the bed out in the open or whatever, and they've got a queen size bed. And then you got the bunks for the kids, and then inside, I'll put. To be honest, we'll never use a kitchen inside, maybe just to make a morning coffee. But you can deck that out differently to suit your design. You know, have a shower awning at the back so you can have a shower, have the annex. You know, there's a place called Kakadu Annexes. They actually make the arms that go out Australian made. All you have to do is buy the awning to roll it on, and they make it for older trailers. Yes, it's probably a bit more expensive, but it's robust and strong. But that's something I'm looking at next, because I've done the tent with the kids, and I hate, like, I get the site, I'm going to set this up. Even worse, when you get home, you got to pack it up. Even worse, when it rains, you got to set it up when you get home and pack it up. And then store it. Like, I got 3 shelves. I got a single garage, and to be honest, I think, like, we were talking about Australian made and what's the future in a sense, but you said pod trailers. Yeah. Because let's be honest, people aren't buying 2-story houses with double garages these days. It's not the climate. People are buying maybe a townhouse with a single garage, or having to store it at their parents' house because they're in a generation where they can have storage. Well, you've got to move a lot of their stuff because they love to hoard stuff, but you know, it's getting to that. It's getting to that stage. What's going to be the next stage of camping? Yeah, I really don't think there's enough innovation in Australia. I used to love going to shows and just seeing all the knickknacks and the great products, and you know, Bidgie Barbie. I don't know if you've seen the Bidgie Barbie. It's basically just like it's based on the old. I don't call it. It's like a hubcap type of thing. I've seen that. Right? Yeah, and it folds out to a Barbie.
It folds out to legs, and you just sit it over the fire. I reckon 80% of my cooking on that. You know, look, I absolutely love it, and because 90% of my cooking I try to do over the fire. Yeah. Maybe your morning bacon and eggs, whatever, if you haven't got time to set the fire up. But you know, none of those products are coming out. You just don't see a lot of those products anymore. You go to the shows, and it's, I find it, you know, it's just all big rigs, big wheels. You know, it's just tanks set up everywhere, and it's like, no one's got money for all this. So what are you showing us all this? You know,
1%
we want the gadgets that are going to make our life. And again, you don't want a massive collection of gadgets. You know, it's easy to get carried away, and you know, I've done that over the years. But there's some genuine great products that are out there to make your life easier. You know, I Over Edge is another brand that I've done a little bit of work with, and I found their bag online. They've basically got a kitchen bag, and now I've stored my kitchen gear so many ways over the years. We've got the tubs that we're talking about outside, and that's been my kitchen for quite a long time. I saw this online. It was a bag. It folds up and it folds out. And there's lots of stuff like that, but for me, this one was just so practical. It was an Australian young guy, actually. I met him. When I met him, I thought it was a really old guy talking to him on the phone, and ended up being quite a young guy. Good on him. He's got a bit of innovation, and he's trying to build a brand on his own back, basically, because he's just come up with good ideas. I've actually talked to him about a couple of other ideas as well. Hopefully he follows through. And one of those is just a bag for... I use a ski bag at the moment for my clothes. I've been away in 2 weeks, and I've had my stuff in this small little ski bag.
Yeah.
And the reason I like it is when I say ski bag, it's actually those bags that your boots go in.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's just basically I can layer my clothes.
Oh, nice.
So it's high rather than long, so I can layer my clothes. So it's just easier to find bits and pieces. I tend not to take a lot of clothes. Like I've been away 2 weeks solo trip, and gone away with 2 outfits basically. You just wash them in the river and put them back on and do what you have to do. But just those sort of ideas, we're not getting enough of that out there. That's for me. That's where Australia needs to go. It needs to get back into innovation.
Is that the bag Australian made that you're talking about?
Overedger? Yeah. It's an Australian made bag, and it's just a really cleverly designed, heavy duty bag from a young guy who started a good business, and he's got a few other little pouches and bags and that. There as well. I haven't seen anything like this bag around.
Have a look at this one. This is Vutreka. He added to me once, and I looked at, the algorithm works. He's made this bag, and I want to actually show you this because for me, it would work. But it'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are because it's similar to what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's like got the boots on the bottom.
Yeah.
And he's got the area at the top, and then it actually hooks onto the back.
Flashed it. I don't have to see that bag again, but I'll have a look at that. Yeah, because and again, it's not about the flashes and the best. The bag that that's pretty.
It actually hooks up to the back of the seat, so when you open your seat, you got all your stuff there.
That's clever.
Yeah,
it's an Aussie guy, is it?
He's an Aussie guy. I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where it's made, but
you have to tag me in that so I can have a look at that.
I'll show you later. And he added me in Instagram. I haven't spoken to him before, but when I saw that, I'm like, that's worth a shout. Like he put I think the first bags is $250, but I'd pay two if it worked. I'd actually pay and buy that. But I'd really have to. I have to assess what I do, how I pack.
Yeah,
like I'll probably put that on the front seat because I usually throw my swag in the back. I don't like putting my swag on the roof because I'm worried about traveling in the rain. So I put it in the back seat if I don't have the kids. If I have the kids, I usually have the trailer because of weight. I hate having weight on the roof. That's why I won't get a rooftop tent.
It also slows you down. You're with the wind and all that. It's not good for the economy and for the fuel usage and that sort of stuff. So for me, it was like I'm also not a fan, even though I've got my swag in a bag and it's all protected and everything, and it's it'll.
Where's your swag go when you travel?
Always in the back seat because I'm generally on my own, so it just sits across the back seat perfectly. Yeah. I've only got a single swag that more than does me. I keep that on a stretcher. My age, it just makes it easier getting on and off the ground. Yeah. And I shouldn't say my age. I'm not that old, but there's a bone starting to creak a little bit, and it's just a lot easier and a lot more comfortable. Yeah. And for me, like at the front of my car, I actually usually have one of those storage devices that go the seat organizer.
I've got that on the front seat.
Yeah, so I keep that on the front of my car, so I've got quick access to all my gear. Because again, I'm traveling on my own. I've usually got a bag of snacks beside me, and I shouldn't say this, but I usually got my camera gear and that towards the front as well. So if I need a quick grab, so all my camera gear sits on the floor in the front. And with my snacks there, so my cabin is basically everything I need throughout the day, and take my swag out, and then I've got access to everything underneath it.
I guess that's a question, and we're going down there another rabbit hole, but a question for me to you, and you can ask me a question. Yeah. If you've got a question for me, please ask. But what do you need to do to start? So if I want to go to YouTube, I want to start doing a few reviews. Yeah. I want to start actually filming some of the stuff I do because people go, where'd you went? How was it? what do you think you need to start? I personally think I just need a SLR, like a 4K SLR camera, like a Sony or whatever, or even just there's the and what's it called? GoPro.
DJ, look, in all honesty, I actually want to put I do want to do a video on this soon, just go through all my gear. We're talking about before the amount of money that we spend.
Yeah.
You know, I've spent thousands more than I've made, on the gear. And the reality is you don't need all the gear. You don't need cameras these days, phones these days, absolutely fantastic
14
quality.
Pro can do it.
Yeah, 4K. Sorry. So the phone itself takes some great shots. Problem with that is you're going to run out of storage, you're going to run out of battery and that sort of stuff. So depending on what kind of level you want to take this to. Your next stage is something like a GoPro. Great for hanging out the car, you know, if you're doing full driving, camping, that sort of stuff. It's good, durable, that sort of stuff.
Apparently DJI made a really good one of those as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the next level for me is then the DJI Osmo Pocket.
That's the
which
one,
is the little gimbal one and stuff. That is great as a vlogging camera. I've only just got one of those, and it's actually really good as a vlogging camera because it follows you around and that sort of stuff. So when you're talking to it, so now I use that for talk tos. I use my GoPros for, you know, because I won't stick the DJI Osmo out of the car. Too expensive and too fragile.
Yeah.
Whereas the GoPro, I can just hang it everywhere. So, you know, I traditionally have like 2 GoPros. Now I've got 2 GoPros and a DJI Osmo. So I usually have one set up on the car, one that I'll use for B-roll and that sort of stuff.
Do you use mics?
I have started using mics because, and you can get away with not using mics, and but the reality is with mics you just get a more consistent sound, and when you want to again take it to the next level, introduce some mics to it, and things like with the GoPro, because it's remembering to change from the front and back camera and mic and that sort of stuff. So I'll be filming you, for example, and I'll be talking into it from the back. But then I'll turn around and face me and the mic's still in the reverse. So just things like that. So having like a wireless mic definitely makes things a lot better, a lot more consistent.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm like what I watch on YouTube, and I'm like, sometimes you can't, like the content can be fantastic.
Yeah.
The message is great. But you're literally squinting at the TV and with the volume up trying to listen. And I think one thing I'm going to do definitely is maybe like, because I've got Rode mics in here and they're fantastic and it's plug and play. It's something similar for when I'm on the road to connect to my phone.
Yeah.
Because I think sound quality and video quality, of course, the content, it's just like a triangle. It's like a spectrum that you have to get right. But otherwise, people go, oh, I'm going to turn it off.
Audio's number 1. Yeah. Video's number 2. People can get away with, you know, poor audio. I mean, people watch my videos. It's not filmed on 8K, you know, cinematic, whatever, right? Like it's, you know, all that high tech stuff. But I would say, like, people, you could make a movie now that, you know, 20 years ago would have been state of the art. You know, like whereas 20 years ago we couldn't have even made a movie. You know, because we just didn't have a camera that could do it.
No.
Now, you know, some of your basic gear, your basic cameras, your basic editing suites gives you so much power to create basically whatever you want. So you can really go as far as you really want to go. But one thing I will say, if you do get the DJI Osmo Pocket as a YouTuber, definitely get the creator combo. It comes with the mic, and it's just seamless. It runs and works really well together. I'm kind of moving away from GoPro at the moment. I just find the GoPros are having a lot of problems, with heating and power and cutting out and that sort of stuff. And they just don't seem to be putting a lot of money into the brand. I've looked into the brand a little bit from a financial point of view and stuff. They seem to be struggling. And DJI is really kicking butt at the moment. Yeah. So for me, and you mentioned SLRs, I use my SLR. The main time I really use it is if I'm not moving. And to be honest now, I think with the DJI Osmo, it's probably going to take over that. You do get better quality and better audio with the SLRs, but you don't need it, right? You don't, you know, leave it to the big guys, you know, because if you're going to spend that sort of money, spend good money and get the great equipment, but you can't walk around with an SLR.
Yeah.
That I don't, you know, like an SLR, I only ever really use it if it's in a fixed spot. Because I know I'm going to get better video out of it. But it's not a practical camera for running around on a trip. And, you know, you see some of the bigger YouTubers doing it and stuff, but they can afford to drop a $5,000 camera. And the difference between a $1,000 camera and a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 camera is quite significant. But a GoPro is a GoPro, you know.
Oh, look, I wouldn't go a GoPro because I was using it to film for a sales training, and the thing cut out every time. And we're sitting at a desk in a cold room, and it's cutting out. You'd be filming something that could be that once in a million shot, once in a million take, and it cuts out on you. Forget it. I will not put it. I would not spend $1 on it. In my opinion.
Look, I've got, like I said, 2 GoPros. They've been pretty good. Would I buy another one? Not at this point. You know, they're going to have to come a long way. But and like I said, DJI seem to be picking up the game. So if I was going to buy another action cam, I'd probably go with the DJI. I do also have the DJI 360. So I've got a lot of equipment. I spend, I said, a lot more money than I make on YouTube, paying for YouTube, because it's largely a hobby. You know,
Exactly.
and I said, just start small. Start with what you got, and then just build it up over time.
Yeah.
You know, because you'll get more confident in what you're doing, and you'll get more confident in what you want as well. You go out and buy a camera now, I can guarantee you in a year or 2 years you'll be going, you know, I bought the Canon M50 as a SLR, mirrorless SLR, whatever you want to call them. But it's a great little camera, but they get bagged everywhere now. You know, there's so many reviews going, oh, you know, there's so much better, or whatever. Like, you know, that's just all I knew. Now what I know, you know, it's a different thing. But I don't need another SLR. I'm quite happy with my DJIs and my GoPros.
I've got a Canon 70D for like a 1080 camera from my 30th. Was it 30th? Yeah, 30th birthday, 11 years ago. And I'm giving that to the kids to play with, to learn, because they're doing it media at school. But for me, phone's fantastic, and I'm looking at the DJI, in my opinion, because I just want something I can just stop the car, pull over, have a look. Like, I don't know if you watch Anthony 4x4Ds or people know who he is.
We all know.
Funny, but I don't know what he films with.
I don't know what it looks like yet, do we? Have we seen his face on camera yet?
Yeah, I know. You've seen his face. If you look at a few videos, you can see his face. I've actually met him. He's amazing bloke.
I know him quite well as well. He's a great bloke. But show your face, mate. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting him on the podcast. I asked him. He said, "You don't have to show your face on the potty." He's like, "Oh, I don't know." Done. So, it's like you see him filming his content, and people, it's got 80,000 subscribers. He's probably using a phone.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. That's my whole point, right? And we talked about Seek Adventure. You know, he's one of my probably favourites originally. You know, guys, he's not really doing a lot out there, but he was so natural. That's the key to being good on YouTube, is to being as natural and likable. You know, like everyone wants to be likable, but when you're trying to be likable, you're not going to be likable.
Yeah.
It's being naturally likable, but just being yourself.
He was literally himself. You would probably talk to him if you saw him at the pub, but if you watch his videos, you'll want to go talk to him at the pub.
So down to earth.
Look up Seek Adventure, everyone, on YouTube. It's probably one of the first channels I started watching, and he doesn't do it anymore because he just doesn't like. It's not for him. He has a different vibe at the moment. That's what he's left his message, but everyone still talks about it. Heaps of podcasts go, "Oh man, I miss that guy." Like. You watch how he does things, and it is basic, but it was awesome. Like his video of everyone's probably made his video with the hose coming out of there. You know,
I just got rid of that one. I've been using it for years. Yeah,
exactly. I it leaked in my car.
Yeah,
but you know, I'm gonna get one of maybe those on tap ones. I don't know yet, but like he started doing those things, and people go, "Oh, they don't have to buy a $200 thing."
Exactly.
Jerry came from Bunnings to $20 and a better host. I made my own tap thing for $30.
But as the secret to his success, because he's done quite well on YouTube. Like, he quit YouTube and he jumped up to 100,000, followers. And you talk to him offline or online, he's exactly the same person.
Exactly.
Now, as much as I like to think, look, I've built up a bit of skill around trying to talk to the camera, and I don't think I'm terrible. But I'm definitely not natural, and a different voice comes on every time the camera comes on, and that's really hard not to do.
Yeah,
right? So it's probably a lot easier on a podcast because, you know, you're not having
Oh,
to
not
kind
really.
of...
I started this podcast. It's cold outside. I'm in sales. I've talked to a lot of people every day, but sometimes you do get that deer in headlight moment, and then you look at us now. We're having a chat. We're having, you know, it's
And that's it. It becomes a little bit more kind of at ease. But the more you can be yourself, the more success you will have. You look at all the great YouTubers, or the best ones that have made it, are just natural on camera. You know, they're completely themselves. As far as equipment and all that goes, like I said, you can people have made movies out of a phone. You know, you could do anything with a phone. Yeah. It's just, you know, play with that. Get yourself out there. And I had a great marketing mate of mine from work a few years ago shared a marketing strategy, which was ready, fire, aim, basically. So traditionally you pick up the arrow, you get ready, you aim it and you fire it. Well, we spend too long trying to aim something and trying to find the right, you know, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to make sure it's all right and everything. It's like, mate, just shoot. Yeah. Just get out there, make some videos, and, you know, if you're not happy with them, make them again until you are happy with them. But just start, get something out there and clean it up later. Like when I started YouTube, I started as a means to, you know, motivating and getting people out there and doing all that. It's become a channel about gear reviews predominantly now.
But people get G'd up to use those gear out, and that has a sub-message, I believe. Yeah. I watched your YouTube videos during COVID. I'm like, fuck, I just want to try that chair and go out.
Yeah. Like, I've got a new chair now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Another video coming up soon. I found, let's talk about the best chair. Mate put me onto, I like a lounge. When I watch TV at home, I'm always lying down. I don't sit up and watch TV. Yeah. Right? Just simple as that. So when I go camping, you really want to be comfortable at the table while you're eating. You really want to be comfortable around the fire while you're chillaxing. And I found a recliner chair. There was actually one at Anaconda that my mate put me onto. I've had two of those now, and they're I think they're about $150 odd, and you know, Anaconda sales, and you know, you never pay full price for anything at Anaconda. And I think I picked them up for around $100 or so, maybe 120 the second one. And I've had two of them. They're busted. And I found another recliner chair. But this is basically your traditional chair, which folds up and goes into a bag. Yeah. And, you know, looks like a solage. And this one reclines. And I'm talking to companies going, why are not more people doing this? I've had the moon chairs. I've had so many chairs.
Well, you got to pack a trailer just to pack one of those freaking
moon chairs. And you know what? I think I was on my second or third one. After a while, you just can't even close them up. No. Right? Like they just, they're so bulky, chunky, and, you know, comfortable but not practical for sitting at the table. So I found this recliner now. And this one's actually from Wild Track. Again, I'm not plugging them. It's just I paid for it because I did my research and I really liked it. It's really well built. You could see all the places where the Anaconda one failed. This one's been reinforced, and I can just sit back, pop the feet up. You've seen those chairs and they've got like the little footstool that kind of pops out, but you got to lock them in and whatever. This one, you literally just sit back and it's
it just I hate anything you have to add shit to. Like I've gone through all my chairs. I've got the Oztag King Goanna. Yeah. And you can adjust the height. Like
the back on it as well? Or?
Yeah. You can adjust like the tightness. It's got the hot spot things in the back. It's comfy. So I slouch on my chair with one leg over the arm. That's just how I sit.
Yeah. And that's why the moon chairs are really good.
But that's like you can fold this up and put it in the car and it's strong. But the more like the stupid thing is the bag of it goes into the head of the
and
that's great.
This one's actually got that as well.
But when you're looking for the bag to put the chair in, you're like, "Where's the bag?" And
you forgot.
You forgot that you zip. Yeah, stupid problem, but funny. But I like being comfortable in the chair. I don't like. We all started with a $6 Bunnings chair.
Yeah, and mate, I've still got the $6 Bunnings chair sitting at home somewhere. But at the end of the day, like I said, just whatever's going to get you out there, you don't have to have the best. You start spending money on it when you start doing it, you know, more frequently.
Like I say to people, if you want to go camping, borrow my chair. Borrow my tent.
Yeah. I've actually I've got spare everything now because one thing I've learnt with lending out stuff, I'm a little bit precious about the stuff that
Oh
I
no,
use.
you're not taking my. You can
Yeah.
take. You can take the other chair. Not taking this chair.
Yeah. Because my chair, I love my chair,
Yeah.
and I look after it a certain way, and I want to know, almost everything I've lent out has come back,
Yeah.
worse off than when I gave it, and I hate saying no to people, so I've got a good range of gear that I can lend out.
Yeah.
I've got a good range of gear that I just nobody touches.
Oh mate, we could go on forever.
Yeah.
About our gear, but no, I appreciate you telling me, like, especially that camera stuff, and but in your channel, Nastime Adventures, isn't it, on YouTube?
Nastime Adventures.
And on Instagram as well. So
Instagram, Facebook, and on TikTok. And I did mention I'm actually looking at starting a podcast as well, which is Soul and Summit, which is I mentioned before, basically with my video with my YouTube channel, it started as a way to it was all about me time, and I just wanted to get that message out to people, and I found that the channel's gone more towards gear reviews and that sort of thing, which is absolutely fantastic, and that's just the way life goes. But I want this podcast to be more specifically about encouraging people to get out and take some time out for themselves, and just the benefits of what we do, mate. Like, you don't meet a lot of bad people camping,
No.
It's
unless you go see that guy, one of the mystical guys in the high country, that's still apparently lurking around. What's his name? I don't know. There's some myth about some guy that lurks. I don't know.
You know what? And I'm sure if you sat down with him, mate, you'd hear some fantastic weird stories.
Just won't come back from it.
You might be the one that he's probably escaped because he doesn't like people. You might be the one that brings him back.
We saw some guy turn up on Liberty once, and he started going off on us, and we're just like, "Please leave, mate." Could be him, you never know. But I'm looking forward to seeing that podcast stuff. I'm happy to help you.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow, but keep an eye on the next coming months. But for now, it's just YouTube. I'm still trying to get videos out as frequently as I can. Usually, every couple of weeks or so. I've got a few lined up from last year actually, and this year.
Great.
And a few on the cards. It just what it's like, mate. Life never stops.
Never stops. But unfortunately, we're probably running out a bit of time because we could probably talk for another 3 hours. But love to have you back on again. We'll have to do a trip one day together and actually report back on it. And, what we learned of one another, especially about what we see, the mental side of things at camping. But But till then, appreciate your time, Nas. It's your personal time. I appreciate everything about it. And
thanks for having me, mate. This is fantastic.
Yeah, look, like I said, everyone just jump on Nastime Adventures on YouTube, Instagram, and check your stuff out because I learnt a lot. And if we're here today having a chat and growing our network and friends, and we'll travel one day. So have a great one for the rest of the day, mate. And everybody, I look forward to speaking to you guys soon. So enjoy the day and night wherever you're doing, and have fun. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.